Hi, this is Susan. I did a Dollar Tree haul, and so I want to share that with you. And I know we buy different things from there, like you're probably used to getting this. This is 3 ounces of Aleene's Original Tacky Glue. So I want to tell you the reason I get this there and is the size, because the glue's sitting open, opening and closing and opening, closing. They can start drying, they get thick, and then they get hard to get the last bit out. So I'm always in favor of getting them at Dollar Tree. For $1.25 you get 3 fluid ounces. So the same thing with the wood glue. It doesn't, it won't dry out. I don't use this as often, and I get 2 fluid ounces. And this is over in the automotive paint things, tarps and stuff. So this is in the craft section. But I really like that I can get a smaller bottle. And I'd rather have a smaller one anyway. So these are things, I don't know if you've been lately to see that they have this 2-pack of these. And what I use this for the most is clamping things onto my table. Like when I was making braided rugs in that video, I clamped the thread onto the table so I could braid it. So these come in handy. Now these are not for if you had a warped board, big board or something, winching it down, to get it flat while it dries or while you screw it in. That might break these, because these really are great for holding things together while they dry, but not so much for wrenching them down. Then these were 2 of these just perfect miniature type size for $3. Now, these are something they're also newly carrying. Somewhat newly. These are a little more durable. For the spring in it is tighter, longer, tighter. And so these, I would think, if you were trying to, hold things down to glue or screw in, these might last a little bit better. But of course, you don't want to leave plastic out in heat, outside. So you want to, bring them inside after you've used them. So these were 2 of these for $1.25. So that's really good. I mean, if you're just doing crafts, you know that you get 6 of these little guys for $1.25, and these are just invaluable. I mean, if you haven't bought these, buy at least 2 packages, because you will always use them. And they have the bigger ones that are just like this, closer to this size. And I would have gotten them, but I think these don't have sometimes this pink plastic sheathing starts to pull off. I mean, it's still good without it, but it's not as comfortable. So that's why I thought, well, I'll just try these out. Okay, so there's all kinds of new things. There's tarps, for painting, spray painting. There's things in let's see, it's called automotive, or it's called, I don't know, it just where the paintbrushes are, and where you'll find these things, that aisle. There's a lot of new things over there. And this lightweight spackle is a nice size. It's 6 fluid ounces, and if you haven't bought this there, this is so great for filling in your cardboard, the side of your cardboard. I just did a project where I made the bricking that goes around a tree, and I made it with cardboard, and I filled it in with the spackle on the top so that I could paint over the spackle and make it look like the side of the brick. So, this size, being a 6 fluid ounces, is just a good size. It's real lightweight. You think there's nothing in there, but it is full. So that's good. And then they also had caulk. And if you're a regular shopper, you know that they have these. But if you're not, or you're new to miniatures, these are wonderful. And what I like about them, you can put beads in this. Also, if you're a beader, jewelry, things. These smaller ones are even better, because, after you use them, then you have just a few of each kind left over. And so you can also turn these upside down and use it as a showcase. So see how if you put your project down in the bottom, you pull the top off. And the same thing with these. If you put your project right here, then you've got a showcase to your project. And then they have these in the package as well. And they also have the round version. And these are great for holding beads as well. But this one I've obviously been using it. It's got little dusty things all over. But, you know, it's great. Like if you did a polymer cake, how cute it protects it from getting crunched. But it also is a little showcase for taking it to your club meetings or whatever, or giving it as a gift. A gift, that's just perfect. So I showed you the other day, about a week ago, I showed you how I made the lighthouse. And I didn't find my tea light, and I found them just the other day. So I wanted to remind you that they, you know, with Halloween stuff and fall stuff, they have these packages of tea light. This one says 360 total hours between the three of them, I guess. So they have 120 hours each. And flickering effect. This one, these here have a flickering effect. So this one, yeah, see it's flickering a little bit. So that's spooky, don't you think? Spooky enough for Halloween, for putting in your projects. So don't forget, they've got them at Dollar Tree. And I wanted to show you a couple of things that, I mean, we're still in summer, that if you haven't done this, is you take the coffee filters. They're kind of thin, but you get a good number of coffee filters, and you run them, put your paint, your watered down paint, and they actually have the green color. Now, I don't have the green, I just got the brown, and I forgot some things. But I wanted to tell you about this paint. This paint is a good color. It's just a little bit watery. So that being said, you could leave it open and hope that the water kind of evaporates a little bit and the paint gets thicker, or you'll use 2 coats. But you will have to use 2 coats. But if you get green to do leaves, here's what you do. You mix green and mix the paint in here with water, you know, in a tray, and then just, you know, run this around in the tray, and you come out with a coffee filter that you can either punch or cut out leaves and get yourself, you know, all the fall colors, or even Halloween-y kind of colors for a big tree or something, a gnarly looking tree. But so that you can use this paint that they have, and it's a pretty big bottle. It's 6 fluid ounces if you want to get the greens and blacks. And so use the coffee filters that they have. And they also have all these nail files. If you haven't used them, these are just great for your little small miniature projects to file away. And they had a big one at one time, and I haven't found it since. The other thing is, my store was cleaned out, but they have this sand. And I use this sand, like I just did a project where I did a concrete patio. And so I put sand in it to get that gritty concrete effect. So they have the sand down on the aisle that has glasses and frames. It's backed up to the craft aisle. And so that's white. And this other one, which comes from there, is the more natural color. And then I think they had blue and pink and everything. But the one I went to just now, and then they also have big rocks. I did see but I've got them and they're tucked away. But, you know, they have rocks, and they have the grass as well. And they have like the reindeer moss, different kinds of moss. So, you know, if you're doing a lot of fall projects or Halloween, you want to check it out. Okay, these I got a little bit ago, but they're just so cute. I've had them a few months, but I lost track of them. But they had several doors, and this is in the fairy garden that's up at the front of the store, in the, you know, where the gardening stuff was hanging. They had a whole section of fairy garden. They've had it for years now. And you'll see these adorable little houses. I'm sure you've seen them if you shop there. But this one, I was like, I love this house. I want to make it in, you know, bigger size. So I got it to look at it to figure out what would I use to make I'm thinking about a mop to make this textured roof. And I'm thinking about either clay or egg carton to do this. But this is just so adorable. So then I started seeing this, and I was like, wouldn't that be cute to have that as the front door to make like this design, and the little chimney coming out of it, and the little window. Isn't that cute? I just think this one's just been, they're every one of them so cute. You want to buy them all. And then they had, if I make it the right size, they had this, you know, wood looking, they're actually different. So this one's different from the bottom, little benches. So see the difference in them. This one, and it has flowers, resin. These are resin. And woodsy looking. This one's more woodsy, but they're both made to look like, you know, wood. Anyway, the fairy stuff is so cute, and they did come out with a little bit bigger fairy people than they've had. And so I had another piece from Hobby Lobby, so I was really glad to get these a little bit bigger pieces. So these two ladies are knitting. I don't know if they had the gentleman to go with them. I guess they live in the gnome land because they have little pointy hats on. But very cute. And so I may have to cut her out with my Dremel to actually have her sitting on the bench. But she might be the size, or these two might be the size that I, you know, work on this piece. I don't know, when I find time. So, they also had these, not all the stores have them in stock, but I found one that had a whole new, these are hanging on those plastics, little peg things that hang down at the end of aisles. And so these are those fairy lights where you put 2 AA batteries in them, and you can cut these short or long, or you can use the fairy light pieces. And I have a couple of videos that show how to use fairy lights. And so these, you have this choice, and you have the button cell batteries type little case that they don't sell it at Dollar Tree. You'll have to get that on eBay. The button cell battery case, you know, that'd be like the case that's comes in clear or black. And so go on eBay to look for that. But they do have the batteries. They've started carrying the batteries for those at Dollar Tree. So that's nice, because if a battery goes out on your light, you just want to run over there and grab one. You don't want to be having to order it and wait for it to come in. And there's, you know, so many hours on those. So I got a couple of those, and they did have a few different sizes. I don't know what the other sizes are for, what those are needed for. Now I got these little cups to pour resin, and I like the colors, you know, that, so I could, you know, you can either mark them A and B, or you can remember the colors. But these might be seasonal. Yeah, it says seasonal, but I'm sure they have something else like this for pouring your resins. You know, your 2-part, the dry overnight 2-part A and B. And they do carry. Did you know that they started carrying the 2-part resins at Dollar Tree? I think that's really great, because that's another thing that if you need to do a project, I'm sorry, I'm wrestling all this plastic. If you need to do a project, you know, it's not a big amount. I'll show it to you when we get to that bag, but it is nice. Okay, so this was a new thing. Can you see these? I know I'm reflecting plastic here, but see the size of these? These are like so small. It would be like if you bought a box and it had a little small tiny hinge on it, or you were trying to repair a miniature, had a small hinge. You've got these different sizes, and also these are like for your glasses. So $1.25, and you get 6 of them. So I was thrilled to see this, because even if you buy several of these, you're always losing them. It's like, where did I put that? And you spend 2 hours looking for it. So I don't care if it's $1.25. I'm glad to have another one. You know, because I keep them in my sewing kits so that they, you know, I can use them on my sewing machine. And so I just hate, it's like tweezers, you know, when you want the tweezers for crafts and you go around looking for them and you've got them in your sewing kit and you've got them, you know, everywhere. So if they cost $1.25, I don't mind buying new, you know, multiples. Okay, so they had different kinds of big brushes. And since I'm doing a dollhouse, I went ahead and bought new brushes because, you know, they won't have the streaks in them that an old brush that's been used making shelves will have, you know, because there's still paint kind of, you just can't ever get it all out. And for $1.25, I got 3 here, and I can throw them away. And if you do a project where you're staining anything, this is the way to go too, is because you really don't want to clean up a stain brush, to, you know, really. You know, throw it away and just get another 3-pack. But what you can do, I didn't tell you this with the dollhouse, is you take a thick paper towel or a couple of layers of paper towel and wet it really good and put it in a plastic bag that you would, like a sandwich bag. And in between painting, you know, if you're just going to like come back to your painting the next day or the day after, put this inside that really wet paper towel inside the plastic bag, and it will be perfectly fine to pick up right where you left off, and you won't have to completely clean it and dry it out and lose some of your paint in the process. I did that just recently. Works just fine. They also have a cut-in, which is a angled brush. They had one of those as well if you're doing any project like painting trim. Okay, we're going to run out of room, so I'm going to throw these into this bag. And I just really like these. I had a bigger set. My friend used them to wrench something down, and he ended up, you know, breaking the plastic on them. So that's why I say they're great for holding things, but they're not meant to be really ratcheting down something. You have other things that are the metal C-clamps and things that are much more sturdy for that kind of a thing. So anyway, we'll move on to, I also went to Five Below. So keep watching, because I want to show you what I got at Five Below. I don't normally go there, and they moved it to next door to the Dollar Tree. Okay, so if you're going to do anything for Christmas, this is the time. My store had every color. If you want them for fabric, you know, for t-shirts, projects like that, you know, a tote or something, these are fabric paints, but they're great. The white is a little puffy. It says 3D craft paint. It's not super puffy, but it is puffy enough and slick enough to be considered as snow. And it's nice to put it around a tree or on your park bench, or, you know, just whatever you're making that's Christmassy. Get the white. They have this $1.25 for 1 fluid ounce, but it goes far, I think, and I've used it for snows on several projects, so that's a good one. And I forgot to mention, you know, they have, of course, you know, they have these boards for $1.25. They have black, and these are foam core boards. They have black, and they also have white. Okay, I got myself a treat while I'm working. Gotta have the M&Ms. And these were cheaper than Five Below by half as much. Isn't that weird? I mean, you'd think Five Below next door would mark their candies down, but literally it was $2.50, and this is $1.25. So, and then also I want to tell you, in the bag, you know, just the plastic bag that M&Ms come in, it was 1.75. This box, same price, was 3.1 ounce. So you get quite a bit more. So I always think if I'm eating peanuts in my candy, it's better for me or something. No, I know that's not true, but I tell myself that. So that's how I justify it. Okay, I found this. It's a lanyard, bead lanyard. This was in the school stuff. But I was like liking the little tiny beads, and I was thinking the spacer beads, I could certainly use those. And you can always use rings and hooks. And I got a little leather thing here. That's a cute thing I'm sure I could use. I could definitely use this little cap. So the more I looked at it, I'm like, yep, I can use for $1.25. I can use everything on this when I cut it apart. So, oh, and they also had those lanyards, you know, you put your keys on that are nylon strips. They had those at Five Below. They were a little expensive. Well, I've seen them at Dollar Tree for, you know, $1.25. So I think Dollar Trees were a better price. Oh, here, now these are wonderful. Lifesaver wintergreen mints. Nice little snack when you're working on your miniatures. And if you need a boost, here's some salty cashews. Okay, so that bag's empty. Okay, they started putting out the fall stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you the fall. But they had these Post-it notes. If you need any, like pens, pencils, crayons, glue. Oh, they had the clear glue as well. And I meant to get it, and I should have gotten it to show it to you. But they did have the clear, you know, so it dries clear. You know, it is clear, it dries clear, so you can put it in like a vase or something. I mean, you can use resin as well, but they did have that because they've got all the back to school out right now. So I got these little Post-it notes because when I'm doing a video, I always have a note next to me of things I want to make sure I cover. And so I go through these really fast. So those are always so handy. You know, of course, your phone numbers and all the other things. Okay, so they had these little pieces of fabric. And I'm going to make this really wonderful wreath, I think, I hope, that I made before. I want to make it over to show you. It's a big wreath, but it's so cute. So I had to get some more fabric, and I just thought, well, I'll go ahead and show this to you. This is a fabric pumpkin. Isn't that adorable? Little fabric pumpkin. I mean, who doesn't love pumpkins out of fabric? I love topiaries. I'm a big fan of topiaries, so that's one thing I love to. I take like these. I love these, and then I'd stack the, you know, the hard ones. This one's soft. It's got fiberfill in it. It's just so cute. Looks like something a quilter would love. But I like these that have the plaid on them, and I stack them in the size and put flowers all over them. I can show that to you if somebody's interested. It is one of my passions to make those little topiaries. Okay, so they also had the burlap. They had green, they had orangey red. This is orangey red. I might have already bought this in the past. I have to compare it, but it's kind of a deep orangey red color. And they did have the lighter orange and then red and green. And then they had these small, I like these small, in my topiaries, I stick the small flowers in there. And so I got these smaller versions of sunflowers to go with my fabric. And I'm not sure what all I'm going to use them for, but I know I love them and I'll use them. I have the biggest stash of fall flowers. It seems like the color of fall flowers is just the most popular. So there's that. And over where I got the wood glue is like a whole bunch of glues. And I have been looking for 6 months for them to restock the super glue gel. And here again, I love these little containers because they don't have time to dry out. If you'll leave it sitting up after you open it up, try to have the glue staying upward, and it will last a really long time if you keep it upward. I don't know what that is. A friend told me that, and I've been doing it, and yep, it's lasted. Now, I did get the regular glue, and the little ones so that they don't dry out. But you know what to do is when you finish this one, take the top off of it and put it on the next one, and save these tops, the fresh tops, because you can use those to make miniatures. And the same thing when you're, you know, finishing a glue bottle, I try to put an old glue bottle top on my new one as I start a new one, and I save the fresh one to use as a little cup because, you know, it's miniature size and it can be used as a cup. So this, I just made a garden hose, and I realized that when I was throwing away the last one of these little tubes that had dried out, that looks like the tip of a garden hose. See? That I went ahead and kept it, and you can cut it off right here, put a piece on the backside, or just use it like this and make yourself a garden hose. It's that video that I did a box into a porch patio, and so here's what I'm showing you, how to take a piece of electrical wire. This is copper wire. I painted it with a green pen. If you haven't seen that video, I think it's pretty cute, and you'll want to see it. I painted it with this green marker. It was white originally, and I was thinking, look, if I cut this piece off right here, this will be like really cool for the end of the garden, for the nozzle. So save those. And go and get yourself this gel. I mean, you can get the super glue there all the time, but this is the one that everybody buys and it runs out. So go grab yourself. It's good for wood, metal, ceramic, jewelry, rubber, plastic, and more. And it gives you setup time. And I particularly use the gels on jewelry findings. Like when I was making the electric lights and making the old-fashioned oil lamp looking lights, I always use the gel. So go grab some, because I used all mine up and was looking for getting more, and they had run out for a long time. With these tariffs, who knows what's going on. Okay, this was a board that they had, and you know, if you're making a base to something, you might need a board. And so I just thought, well, you know, I could cut it. And it's also solid. It's not plywood. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and get that in case I ever need. I mean, I have the tool to cut it, but if you don't, and you're in an apartment or something, you just can't, you know, turn on a saw anytime you want. Can you imagine if your neighbor just, like, you know, cranks up the saw? That's why I work in my friend's garage, because I'm always making shelves or adding, you know, putting my miniatures up on shelves and things, my dolls. So I'm always making shelves, and I have to do it outside here because, you know, they are not going to put up with me cranking up my saws. And I got the little table saw too, and I've, you know, I just, except for the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes are horrible here in Texas. Oh my gosh. And we've had all this rain, and so they're just like all over the place now, and sneaking in the house and getting in the dog water, and you know, we're having to clean out the dog water every so many days and make sure that they're not in that. But anyway, this is a good size. Let's see. Well, where is my? This is, in case you need one, it is 5.5 by 7.5. So if you have a project and you need one, it's there. And this was a scraper. This is a new thing in that aisle, the safety scraper with blades. And I've been needing the blades, but you know, like when you're trying to scrape off the label off of something, this is kind of what you use. And I needed the blades to cut into clay or something I saw, and I was like, oh, I got to get me some of those blades. For $1.25, I get a scraper, and I get some extra blades. I don't know how many there are, but I only really needed one, so I thought, you know, that's not bad. I've got one that's, I think it's one that's in it. They say blades, plural, so there must be one I can use for clay, one I can put into this. So that's good, you know, and I've got a scraper to scrape off, you know, the residue when you're taking labels off. Okay, so they had this round piece of wood. It's plywood. Let's see, it's called a wood hanging decor. It's over in the craft section. And this is only $1.25. Now they have a thicker one of these that's in the $3 to $5 section. But I wanted to make, you know, I said I wanted to make something like this. And so I was thinking I need a platform that I can, you know, do the moss on and move it around, and that way it'll be, you know, on it permanently, and I can do all the decor on it and glue it down. So this is going to be real handy. And it is just under, it's like 1/4 of an inch under 12 inches. And so I don't know if this is new or not, or I just haven't needed one. But I think it's great for any project to sit on. And you could also make a lazy Susan out of it. You know, that's always great. You know, even, you can put just a hand towel underneath this, and that'll help you turn it. You know, if you're working on a project and need to see all the different sides to it, that's one thing. Like when I was doing dollhouses all the time, I would put a towel folded up underneath the dollhouse so that I could turn it on, and the towel would move smooth enough that that would help me turn it around to get to the different sides. Now, this is a square version. That was a round. This is a square. It's the same, just about almost 1/4 of an inch under 12 inches. Same on both sides, so it's square. It says wood hanging decor. This was again in the craft aisle. And, these are great for signs. And it's ply, but it's like a very thin outer ply, veneer. And it's a little thicker in the middle. So I don't know how these would cut. Of course, it's going to cut easily with the grain, then across the grain. But I don't suppose this would be too much trouble. And maybe these could be put through a machine, laser cutting machine. I don't know. But it's nice that they have some wood that we could, this is only, a 16th, maybe an 18th of an inch thickness. Let me see, it's a little less than an eighth. A little less than an eighth of an inch thickness. So definitely nice for miniatures. And so was the round one was thicker, actually. If you want to see the two together, the round is thicker. So it's a little sturdier for being a base. And then maybe the squares. And the squares, I did where I put a frame on the front of some signage that I got. They have these long signs that I used back in one of my videos. I made a room box with some of their long signs, and I put an old frame I got from a thrift store and repainted it. And I needed a back flap for closing to be able to access. Once I put the glass back on the frame, I need to access what I have in the room box from the back. And so that's what I bought these for. I'm remembering now. That's what I needed, was the back flap, so I can just build the room box to this size. And I actually I have a mirror frame. It's kind of hard to find good frames right now, but I found this mirror that was square, so I'm hoping that'll fit. We'll see if that'll work. Okay, so I have another bag from Dollar Tree. Okay, you might have seen this before. And this is a super soft microfiber cloth. And if you're doing modern furnishing in your dollhouse or your room box, this makes a wonderful bedding. Your microfiber blanket to go on your bed. It's just so soft and pretty. Now, I used it to cover over a piece of wood to look like a bunny rabbit. And it was just perfect. The texture and the fluffiness, it was just perfect. And made the ears and everything. So you can make Christmas decor. You can go over the candy canes with this and decorate, with ribbons around the candy cane. It's great for covering a lot of things, but it's great also for bedding in your miniature dollhouse stuff. And it's $1.25. Can't beat the price. And you'll have a lot of it. It's a big piece. It's 16 inch by 24 inch. There's enough there to have some left over to work on your car. Okay, so the masking tape. I didn't look for painter's tape. I'm not sure if they have painter's tape or not. They do have this masking tape, and because it's inexpensive, it's not super sticky or anything. But in heat, masking tape does get more sticky. So it doesn't where painter's tape doesn't get as sticky. So you don't want that residue on your project. But I was making stairs for that project I mentioned that I just completed and put a video on, of a room inside of a cardboard. It's a little box. It's only a little box of, it's 9.5 or 9.25 by 9.25. It's a little, like a gift box. And I turned it into a porch patio. And I made the stairs, and so they're made of cardboard, and you want to cover them with masking tape. So go to Dollar Tree, get your masking tape to cover your cardboard, and then if you add glue to your paint mixture, like you can put sand in it if you want it to look concrete or stucco or whatever, add a little glue into it, and that way the glue will help stick to the masking tape. That's the tip. Okay, I'm so excited. They have glue dots. And what I'm excited about is, let me show you my other glue dots. I got these at Michael's when I couldn't find the mini dots. So these were the regular size dots. So look at this dispenser. These are the regular. This one is going to have mini dots because look at the paper. It's much smaller. Now, I don't know if they're going to be permanent dots, because they don't go into that, so I'll have to let you know if they're more permanent, like they'll hold stuff on the walls. You need permanent for that. And these call themselves permanent, and they don't hold things to the wall. They fell down. So, we'll see. I'm just glad that I have the little ones. See, can you see the size of the paper? Haven't opened it up, but we could. But I haven't opened it up yet, but that's small enough to where these are going to be little tiny dots. For $1.25, you get a 1/4 inch by 200 inch spool of however many dots per inch, don't know. But I'm just glad they have it, because if they are permanent and they do actually stay up, I'll be thrilled. Okay, so I always get these there. You get 3 to a pack. These are what I do my faux finishing with. And I don't know if y'all do faux finishing, you probably know about these, but they're just so chunky. And because they're sparse, you know, they kind of go out, and you can shape them if you want. But, you know, the thing is that after 4 or 5 uses, they start, you know, the bristles start coming out. But the other thing is you can use the bristles. Like if you're going to make a brush, you can, you know, sacrifice one of your, you know, cheapy $1.25 chunky brushes and use these to do quite a bit of brushes. So, but they will start coming out, and with paint, you know, so you can also glue these, you know, glue around the base. Try to, you know, put some glue into them before you use them, if that's going to help hold that together a little better. But I've kind of, you know, noticed that after, and also you don't want to leave them in the water. You know, I've forgotten and left them overnight in the water, and then gone back, and they're clean, but then it sat in the water, so that is going to make the glue break down. So just try to remember not to leave them in the water. That one actually was wet. So it's been wet for days, even though I left it in the water overnight. So it must have gotten into the plastic part. So anyway, these are a really good deal. I've used them for quite a while. I mean, consistently been buying them and using them. Okay, $1.25, and you can use the bristles for other things. Now, I did see these because I go through these flat paint. See, this one, there was like about 5 different choices in the craft aisle of this type of brushes with, you know, 3 or 4 or whatever, different, you know, kinds. But I go through these flatter ones pretty fast. So this one with the green handle has 3 flat ones. And then I can use these for bristles if I want. If I don't, or I can cut them down, you know, cut them at an angle or cut them down, and they'll be, you know, I can use them that way better. But I got 3 of these flat for all the painting I do. So I thought this was a good choice, and And it's $1.25 for 5 paintbrushes. And they, like I said, they had quite a bit to choose from. This was a notepad that a little bit bigger, and these are sticky notes. It says sticky notes, and so I'm liking these for, oh gosh, I got one that's got a cut mark in it. Oh well. For making notes, you know, of things that I'm gonna make in miniature. I'm always drawing stuff up. You can, you know. But anyway, I like their, you know, you can get all kinds of sticky notes at Dollar Tree, and the price is right. And right now, like I said, any of the office supplies, they've got all the school supplies out. There's just tons of it. So you want to go check that out. Oh, here was the orange. And I said there was a dark red, reddish orange, and then there was this orange. And this is burlappy kind of look, which you can take this and make, you know, regular size wreath, but you can also cut into this and use it in your miniatures. You could make a basket out of this. It's all the fall colors, and it's burlappy. So I like that. It's a pretty tight weave. So that's going to be nice for, you know, I can use it for either one. Okay, so I've got a project, and I wanted to tell you that they have, these always had the hole in them on each end, these crates, and now you have a choice of getting it without the hole. And I built a Halloween project using these boxes going every which way. And it's pretty cool. Everybody that sees it thinks it's pretty cool. So and also they have a bird, like a little tiny birdhouse. It's not even as tall as this if it sits straight, you know, it's sitting straight up. And you can use that on each side, you know, to be part of the house. And so you might want to look for the ones without the holes. Now, if you can only get the ones with the holes, then you just have to put cardboard and cover the holes up. But these are great for making those curiosity shelves that hold all of your bottles and your potions and your scrolls and all your witchy things. So those are great. And here is the resin I was saying. You have to buy each part separate, but I was using the hardener in with my 2-part when I was having so much trouble, and I think it boiled down to it being the humidity. And I've got it narrowed down to 2 things, and it was humidity or the added pigment. It could be that the added pigment somehow messed with the ingredients, but I'm going to try again. Here's A, and that's the resin, and here's B, and that's the hardener. And these are the dry overnight, long dry. And there you get 1 fluid ounce. This is 1 fluid ounce. This is 1 fluid ounce. So you need both of them to set up. And they're $1.25 each. But it's nice, you know, if you have a resin project and you just want to run to the dollar store and grab that. That's nice. Okay, I think I don't know if I had another bag or not. I think I've showed you everything. Let's put this away, and I'm going to show you what I got at Five Below. And like I said, I don't go to Five Below very often. Oh, I was going to tell you, I had tried, excuse my arm, I had tried something from Hobby Lobby. And I said I would get back with you and tell you if it worked or not. It was a quick crackle. It was a 1-step quick crackle. Well, I tried it 2 different times, and you can see the crackle. It is so fine, and it says it will put out a fine crackle, but it is so fine it looks like just dry skin. That's it. It's so tiny. It's not even, I mean, it's barely like miniature scale. If you really wanted to make a miniature look authentically, you know, what do they call that, crazing, you could use this. But the first time I crackled, it was significantly crackled. You can see this was a test. And it was significantly crackled, looking like the side of a barn or a farmhouse or something. You know, that's significant crackling. This just looks like dry skin. I mean, I can see it, but it's so faint and so tiny that I'm going to return the bottle and try the more expensive to see if it works better than this, like the old. And it's weird because DecoArt had the original that I made that first sampling with, but I don't know. They decided it wasn't what, you know, that they wanted to do something better, but I don't think it's better. If you can't see the crackle because it's so tiny. I mean, yeah, it might look authentic on a tiny miniature, but it's so tiny. Okay, so here is what I got. Some fun. Okay, when I first walked in, it seemed to be like at Five Below that all the good deals were up at the front. So I want you to pay attention to that as you move towards the back, you know, that you don't like pay more than Dollar Tree, because Dollar Tree was right next door. So I'm liking that they're right next to each other. I don't think they're owned by the same company, but maybe they know that the same shoppers would come to both. They had all kinds of alcohol markers, dual-ended alcohol markers, and this one, it was 18 count. It's very pastel, very faint colors, which I needed a bunch of these colors in here on a project in this warm beige. So I was thinking, okay, I'd use these in watery kind of looking things, and these kind of gray, grassy, maybe. I don't know, but there was packages with 20 or 21 that were more vivid colors. And, you know, those were nice too. I just thought I'd start with this. They didn't look the same. They're all over the store. They're in several places, but these were $5 if you got 18 or if you got 20 or 21. They are dual-ended. This is not like the paintbrush where it's longer, but I liked it okay. I wish it was more the paintbrush style. But this is in the school supplies when I first walked in. And then it's got that for, I guess, signs or something. But I like the colors, and I like these faint colors. And I didn't see those when I was buying the alcohol. These are alcohol markers, you know, so I didn't see the alcohol markers in the fainter colors too much at Hobby Lobby. So, like I said, they had the vivid colors if you want more vivid. Oh, I can't show you that yet. That's my favorite. Ah, I can't wait to do this. Okay, I got these. If you like to put your hair up when you're crafting, I think these are nice. They're soft. These are those bands that they're kind of cut from, I don't know, they just roll up on the sides. I know this is off the point, but these were $2. They're at, this was, you know, $5. These were $2, but I like to throw my hair up with these. And I sleep in them too to keep my hair from getting matted up. And I paid $1 for these index cards. And what I do with these is, of course, you could write yourself notes on it, but I use these when I'm trying to make like an outfit, make a piece of clothing for the dolls, or, you know, or to put in a box or something. I like these to do the pattern work, you know, because they're cardboard. But you could also make, you know, certainly make something out of them as well. But I definitely use them for patterning, because you should always keep your pattern of something you make, because you will want to go back to it and say, oh, now what did I do on that? And even if you know, I just think you should keep a pattern of it. So I use them that way for sure. And these were only $1, and that's a pretty large amount of them. That's 100 sheets. And of course you can, you know, take 50 of them and put them in your kitchen to recipes, or put them by the phone for notes or something. Okay, so I got this, and it's funny because I only needed orange. I was thinking, you know, but then I was thinking, you know, it'd be nice to have all these colors. This was $5, and I was like, this is nice if you're making fruits and vegetables. See how they show the plate with the eggs and the bacon, it's like you hate it when you just need a tiny bit of a color and you don't have it. And so I was like, these are small. The size of these are not very big at all, but there's so many colors. So it's not even 1.5 inches. It's like 1 5/8 inches by less than 1/2 inch. But there's all these colors. And so when we're doing miniatures, we're not using a big, huge amount. You know, if you need a bigger amount, then go get a big clay block. But when you just need a little color, like, you know, say you're making an avocado, you need the seed. Well, you got brown. And then this one also comes with some metallic. There's some metallic right through here, golds, 3 golds and a silver. And then these have a little glitter, which, you know, I don't know about the glitter. You could use them for Easter eggs. Definitely, the glitter would work for Easter eggs. If you're doing an Easter basket for your dolls. I did that this last Easter. So I just think that's a lot of colors. There's 40 primary colors and 4 metallics and 4 glitters. So there you go. And these will come in handy. And I got this for $1. Just to put the pins in. They didn't have any clear ones. I would have really, if they'd had clear, they would have sold me a whole bunch more. But they had the bright colors. But I like the size of it because I have them down at my feet where they have my ink pens and things. So, you know, I can also remember if you get them in colors, then you can remember you know, this one's got that in it, and this color has that in it. So. And Dollar Tree also had, with their school supplies, had a bunch of different plastics containers. So Five Below had this stack of 4, I think it was 5 maybe, 5 different colors. They were not as thick or as wide as this. So I was looking at how many pins would go in it, and, you know, to get the stack of 5 of them. But it wasn't quite as wide as this one. So I decided to go just with the plain and check it out and make sure it's, you know, going to hold up. And so the last thing I caught my attention was it says teeny tinies. Okay, let's get the glare off of it. Let's see if we can raise this up. Okay, so they're teeny tinies, 20-piece set. And they had different ones. This one was my fave. But there was a barista coffee cart that had a bunch of fun stuff to put on the cart. But these are, I think they're close to 1/12 scale. And I needed this ketchup and mustard. And that's what caught my eye. Then I was like, oh my gosh, this has got the retro diner stuff. It's got the jukebox that goes on the table or on the counter. And it's got the soda. Or the malt shake, whatever. It's got the whipped cream in it. Looks like a cherry. It's got a cinnamon bun, a piece of cheesecake that might need to be painted. Anyway, I'm planning on spraying these with a sealer and painting over them. But here's a soda pop machine. So that'll be handy. Here's a waffle maker, and I guess these are the waffles. There's a little grilled cheese sandwich that I guess goes in this little basket. And some kind of, oh, these are pancakes. That's what, they just need maybe a touch of paint to change them. Okay, this is a little glass here and a little mug and maybe a glass of milk or something. And then there's a hamburger and french fries. I just love this for $5. Now, I was trying to think, and y'all tell me this. You that stuck it out this long, tell me this. If you've opened those pods, how much do those pods cost? And how many pieces do you get in the pods? Because I've seen people opening them, and I'm like, really? I don't get it. And collecting plastic, because it seems to me that, like, all of Barbie, you know, has plastic little doodads. I mean, I like the concept, you know, surprise, and here you've got stuff. And then some of the themes are really cute. I've heard that the Harry Potter one was really cute and had all the stuff that, you know, you'd want for Harry Potter. I'm not sure if it was 1/12. Also, you could tell me that if it's 1/12 scale or not. And I wouldn't mind having that one. And I also saw them open up the like different drinks, like something mule or these margarita, these little drinks, and then they mixed the resin and the crystal, the little ice cubes in the drink and made a drink, and it hardened. And that was cute. That was cute too. That was kind of a fun, thing to have, like your little happy hour of making your little drinks. But I don't get I don't get like getting packaging from Kentucky Fried Chicken, say. I'm not really getting that. Like, you're paying to get something that looks, it's just like, I don't know. I like retro, so maybe that's why. Anyway, they had different ones of these. They had a Holly Hobby, if you're a big fan of hers. They had a picnic one. They had a picnic basket and everything you'd put in the basket. So this was my favorite, the Retro Diner. And it actually, when you pull this out, it's got a sheet of its graphics for a diner. But I'm actually going to put for my summer birthday, I'll have to show it to you what I got. It's in this theme. So this is going to be just perfect for what I got. So I think that's everything I have. I don't think I missed a bag. So thanks for visiting, and please subscribe if you haven't. And I'd love to hear your comments about those pods. What, the pricing, how many pieces you get. Yeah, please leave me some info about that. I know I keep meaning to go to Target and look at those, but I just don't. So, y'all have a great day. Bye.